While it's already common knowledge that Classroom Elite is famous for its heavy dose of fan service, one thing that's rarely talked about is how the female characters in this series are very unique on their own. Each female character doesn't just serve as eye candy, but they contribute meaningfully to the narrative, and more importantly, to Ayanokoji's development. The core character of Ayanokoji is how he wanted to learn, and the way Kinugasa chose his partner to support his journey is perfect, because each of them challenges him, teach him something new, or exposes him to unfamiliar experience. Even though Classroom of the Elite is not a romantic comedy series, the girls are undeniably a very important part of the story. So, let's take a look at them one by one, and see just how much they matter. Let's start with 3 heroines that were introduced in the first volume. Horikita was the first girl to interact with Ayanokoji and is destined to be the female main character. Just from appearance, Kinugasa play it safe with Horikita, because she is a stereotype of Japanese women with her long black hair. However, her attitude is not easy to like. She was cold and arrogant, but her quick-witted and comical interaction with Ayanokoji was somehow well received by the readers. Their first interaction at the school gate was unique, where they shared their views about what it means to involve themselves with other people. That conversation made Horikita Ayanokoji's first subject experiment, because unlike Ayanokoji who tries to connect to other people outside the white room, Horikita purposely disconnects herself from the others around her. Horikita was unique, and since they sit beside each other, it just decided that they will spend a lot of time together. Horikita's character quickly got explored in the first volume. We got shown where all of her antiques came from, which is her bad relationship with her brother. It was an accident that Ayanokoji happened to witness the scene between Horikita and her brother, but the moment he stepped in, his school life was never the same again. He got unwanted attention from Manabu, but he got a much more interesting subject, which is a family trouble. Ayanokoji only has family on paper, so he never experienced how a sibling relationship could turn sour because of misunderstandings. Needless to say, the Horikita sibling relationship is one of Ayanokoji's main concerns in the first year arc. He continuously asks them about their feelings toward each other, and what they will do to resolve it. Ayanokoji was the one who pushed Horikita to confront Manabu, and on Manabu's last day in school, he somehow worried that Horikita would never come. Their bad relationship ended when they finally became honest with each other, and it must have felt like watching a movie with a satisfying ending for Ayanokoji. Horikita teaches him how admiration could change someone, and it's more or less made Ayanokoji admire Manabu and take his words seriously to leave something behind in his school life. If it's not for Horikita, perhaps Ayanokoji will continue his boring and uneventful school life. Ayanokoji's single glance at Horikita in the bus feels like a butterfly effect that affects the story until the third year arc that we know today, and that is the importance of Horikita's character. There are still a lot of things that need to be noted from Ayanokoji and Horikita's relationship, such as how she made him smile or how he helped her grow, but that alone should be enough to secure Horikita's role as the second main character, and their relationship will keep flourishing from now on. Kushida is another typical heroine that we could find anywhere. She is cheerful, adorable, and wants to be friends with anyone. However, her true nature is something that will surprise everyone. If Horikita appears to be a bad person but is just a weak little girl inside, Kushida is the opposite. She appears as a harmless girl, but is actually a devil. Kushida's personality feels like a big gamble that could turn the readers off, and even until now, Kushida has never become the reader's favorite. Kushida teaches Ayanokoji what it means to put on a mask, because everyone has their own side that they don't want other people to see. Although he considered Kushida dangerous, Ayanokoji was interested in her, and curious about her past that changed her to become that way. It's no exaggeration to say that Kushida has an influence on Ayanokoji's mask, because Ayanokoji also hides his true nature behind his stoic face. Since Kushida's past was already prepared ever since the first volume, her story became one of the main focuses in this series. Starting from her love-hate relationship with Horikita, her contract with Ayanokoji, and how she became the victim of 3 White Room students in the second year arc. Kushida had suffered a lot, and all of it happened because she insisted on keeping her angelic face. It might not be a good reason, but her determination is worth being praised. For Ayanokoji, Kushida is his place to learn and also experiment. I personally like how Ayanokoji blackmails Sakayanagi in Volume 6 second year arc by assaulting her, and recording it so she wouldn't tell anyone about Ayanokoji's plan, because it was really similar to how Ayanokoji got blackmailed by Kushida in the first volume. However, after Kushida got exposed, Ayanokoji made a statement that he actually preferred the real Kushida, her hidden side that she tried to hide. I think Ayanokoji's words have more meaning than we thought. He saw Kushida suffer a lot just to protect her ideal life, even though it was all just a lie. On the contrary, Kushida's real face made Ayanokoji more comfortable, which means that Ayanokoji prefers honesty more than beauty. Perhaps it was a sign that he wants someone to see his real side and love him for who he is. Or it could be a message to Ayanokoji himself, ordering him to stop pretending and become more honest with the people around him. Whatever it is, it's undeniable that Kushida is a big gear that helps the story to move forward. And with their conversation in the latest volume, all the talk about honesty and determination will be tested once again. Ichino's introduction was special, because she first appeared carrying student council work as a member of a different class. In her second appearance, she bravely intercepts Sudo, who tries to pick a fight with Yamawaki, giving her a vibe of a dependable and pacifist person. Even though she doesn't take much action in Volume 1, she quickly becomes a fan favorite in the second volume. Just from appearance alone, Ichino looks like an upgraded version of Kushida with a bigger heart and more popularity, but minus a hidden personality. From Ayanokoji's point of view, Ichino is interesting not only because she is the leader of the other class, but also the possibility of her having a dark side just like Kushida. His curiosity was already triggered when he accidentally saw Ichino's a natural amount of private points, and it kept bugging him for several volumes. And like Horikita and Kushida, Ichino doesn't immediately become the center of attention. She played a lot of supportive roles, but only became the main character because she got her own story in Volume 9. Even after that, her presence was really thin to the point it wouldn't really change anything even if she was gone. Ichino only start to show some turbulence after her breaking moment in the Volume 8 second year arc, and she show us how the emotion called love could change someone. Ichino's character development is one of the best and the biggest in this series, to the point it even surprises Ayanokoji. For Ayanokoji, Ichino's development is the proof that even the kindest person still has a dark side inside them, and it's just a matter of how to pull them out. And yet, Ayanokoji welcomed being tied and deceived by her. Ayanokoji always becomes someone who used other people, so the moment Ichino traps him in her room and uses him to achieve her goal is a whole new experience for Ayanokoji. And except for his father, Ichino is the only one who could do that to Ayanokoji. The first volume introduced us to 3 heroines with different kinds of personalities. However, one thing that immediately caught my attention is that none of them took an interest in Ayanokoji romantically. Classroom Elite is not a romance series, but romance is something that is bound to happen when boys and girls are placed together. However, Volume 2 introduced us to another heroine for that purpose, and we get an overly shy glasses girl named Sakura Ayuri. After 3 heroines with bold personalities, Sakura feels like a refreshment because she was an introverted girl who cannot even maintain eye contact. And it must be relatable to a lot of readers, so the decision to make her the first girl who fell in love with Ayanokoji is correct on so many levels. A shy personality means that Sakura will not confess for at least 10 volumes, so it will keep the waifu war going as long as it's needed. Sakura fell in love with Ayanokoji because he saved her from her trouble, which is cliché and simple. Ayanokoji realizes it, but doesn't try to push their relationship further because he thinks it will be important for Sakura's development. Once again, Ayanokoji used someone else's feelings as an experiment because it was a rare opportunity for him to learn. And as expected, Kinugasa kept Sakura feeling afloat and decides to introduce the new love interest, which is Karuizawa Kei. Just like Sakura, Ayanokoji saving her becomes the trigger of Kei's feelings toward him. However, the thing that makes it different is because Ayanokoji shows her a completely different side of him. So instead of just a shallow high schooler crush, Kei experiencing something deeper and darker. And yet, she still ended up falling in love with him. Karuizawa Kei is a typical popular girl, someone who always stood out in her group, and unfortunately also a bully. I am sure a lot of readers hate her in the early volumes, but a single volume turns that hatred into a surprisingly high popularity that even overthrows Horikita. Kei might be the heroine with the most complex backstory, and as if it's not enough, the way Kinugasa executes her story up to volume 7 was marvelous. One thing that makes Kei different from the others is the fact that she saw the true nature of Ayanokoji, and it gave her complicated feelings. There was a mix of fear and doubt, but the problem is, Kaorizawa needs to fall in love, so Kinugasa prepares another love interest for a single purpose, to make Kei realize her feelings, and that unfortunate girl is Sato Maya. And like Sakura, Sato is a direct girl who just says what she feels. She likes Ayanokoji because he runs fast, and goes straight for it. Sato might be a simple-minded girl, but her approach is the best way to put time pressure on Kei, especially because Sato asks her for advice. Kaorizawa Kei's Cupid journey in volume 7.5 was a roller coaster of emotion, because Kei was supposed to support her friend's love, but at the same time, she could not bring herself to genuinely want to do it. At the end, she chose to stay behind and watch the confession. That was the moment Kei realized what she actually felt, because she didn't want Ayanokoji to be close with another girl. Sato's confession is important for Kei, but it is also important for Ayanokoji. He chose to reject Sato because he believed he could not give Sato what she wanted, because what Sato saw in him was just the outer shell of Ayanokoji, and not what he was on the inside. This later became an important aspect for Ayanokoji to consider when he chose to date Kei. If what he wants is just a girlfriend, he could easily ask Sakura for it, but he chose the harder way of provoking Kei by using Hiyori to observe her reaction before actually confessing to her. For Ayanokoji, Kei is different compared to the others because she already saw his hidden side, and if what Ayanokoji said to Kushida is true, that means Ayanokoji prefers to be more honest with his relationship. Kei already saw him deeper than anyone, so he doesn't need to act in front of her. That way, their relationship becomes more genuine compared to if Ayanokoji dated another girl. It will help to set Kei free from her past, but it will also help Ayanokoji to see if he could love someone, or if someone could love him for the way he is. Not as a savior, and not as some guy who runs fast, but to love him genuinely as Ayanokoji Kiyotaka. And that is how the presence of the heroine changed Ayanokoji's life forever.